Hello, welcome to Lab 4, question 5. Now we saw in some of the previous examples, and it was one of them threw us completely, that you've obviously got words that can mean different things at different times, and the way in which they're arranged in a sentence increases or decreases the probability that that word is used in that particular way. So what we want to be able to do in natural language processing is disambiguation. So in other words, we want to know what that word means in that context, but we need to look at the rest of the sentence to decide what that context is. You want to say a bit about that?
Yeah, when we touched on this about the sense in the lecture, and how we can use computers and algorithms to make that determination, because obviously as human beings, when we have a conversation, we can automatically create the sense of the context based on instinct, can't we?
Yeah, so something like the example here, so we've got the word bank. Well, bank could mean somewhere where you go and put your money. It could be somewhere, it could be a hill on a piece of grass. It could be, what else could be? It could be a blood bank. It could be lots of different things. Yeah.
So there's a few exercises in there. Do you want to have a chat about these? We can have a think about what we would think about there.
Okay, so on the exercise it says how many senses do you think the word bank has? Use what you've studied so far to retrieve all synsets associated with bank. So our synsets, so we would look at 1, 2, 3 and so on, wouldn't we? So
yeah, should we have a quick look at that? Shall we run our synsets? So if we look back up here, let's have a look at the WN synset of the word bank, shall we? And see what it comes. So when we remember right back at the beginning, we can very quickly see the synsets for the word just by typing it in. Let's have a look at that and see what we get just for bank. Okay, we have a lot. So we have a depository financial institution is our first and most frequent use. We have, we can probably look, we now need to look at these individual versions. We've got nouns, we've got banks, we've got saving banks, we've got, deposit down here as a verb. So we've got trust, interesting, and okay, so if we take the definitions, if we have a look at the definitions, remember we can use this to have a look at the definitions here, and we can look at the individual definitions of some of these entries. So if we had a look at the first one, for example, bank.
Noun 1.
Sloping land, especially sloping the body. That's the hill. Yeah, and then we have. Okay, let's look at noun 3 and see what we have as a definition there.
But I start to really see the magic of this now, because these 1s, 2s and 3s you could cycle through automatically in Python.
Yeah, it's very, very
long
easy.
original pile, so similar.
Well, what's version 2? We didn't say 2 there. Should we see what the second instance? A financial institution, as expected.
Well, it's unsurprising.
Okay, and now we're going to get further and further away. An arrangement of similar objects in a row or in tiers.
Yeah, so that'd be like the blood bank or the bottle bank, wouldn't it? Yeah.
A supply of stock held in reserve for future use, especially in emergencies.
So that's like the blood bank or bottle bank, yeah.
The funds held by a gambling house or the dealer in some gambling games.
Yeah, so that would be the banker.
The banker. A slope in the turn of a road or track. The outside is higher than the inside in order to reduce the effects of centrifugal force.
So that would be
your bank NASCAR track on there.
Yeah.
Okay, should we have a look at some of these verbs? What's going to come up in a verb? See what we see about the verbs. Tip, laterally. Yeah.
Bank, like an aeroplane leaning over you.
Yeah, in the bank. Probably this one.
Didn't realise there was so many.
We'll just have a look at number 2, see what we've got. Enclosed with a bank.
Yeah, okay.
Do business with a bank or keep an account at a bank, because these are verbs obviously now. So
yeah, so nothing too surprising there now.
Act as a banker in a game or banger.
So it's the same thing, but just the verb equivalent, isn't it?
But interesting. be in a banking business. So yeah, lots and lots of.
Okay, so we've had a look at the senses there, and we see that there's lots of them for nouns and verbs.
So what's the sentence? The bank can guarantee deposits. What was the sentence? Can you read that up here?
The bank can guarantee deposits will eventually cover future tuition costs because it invests in adjustable rate mortgage securities.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do that slowly then. So the bank can guarantee.
The bank can GUARENTEE
Can guarantee deposits will eventually
deposits will eventually
cover future tuition costs
TUITION tuition costs
because it invests.
because no punctuation there, is it?
No, there's nothing at all.
It invests
In adjustable
in
mortgage rate securities.
adjustable rate mortgage securities. There's a hyphen there, isn't there, as well?
Yes, there is. So
Does he
adjustable hyphen.
include that? Does he include that? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does, yeah.
Adjustable rates mortgage securities.
Securities,
ITIES. Full stop. Okay, so we are assigning that to a variable called s. Okay.
Have you imported LESC?
Yes, I've imported LESC. We got.
So what is LESC then?
LESC is the algorithm that's used, which we spoke about in the lectures, and what it uses dictionary definitions already out there to try and ascertain the context of a sentence. And how does it do that? It takes words in a sentence and does a definition lookup. And of course, when you do a lookup, let's give a quick
So
example
this
here.
is the disambiguation part.
Yes, let's look at the bank
Okay.
example.
Yep.
If I go to Google and I type in define bank, what do I get? Right, I
Well,
get
several answers like you would expect.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the LESC algorithm does something very similar, and it gets these answers,
Yep.
and it looks at the position of these answers, and then it starts looking at these answers in more detail. And it takes other words available in the definitions.
Right, so what it's doing is instead of just doing a search like this, it's a bit like doing a Google search but with the entire sentence
Yeah.
and the emphasis on the word bank.
I mean, if we go to the Cambridge Dictionary website here and we look up bank, we can see that it gives us examples. And it takes some of these words and tries to cross-reference those words within other words in that sentence.
Yeah.
And then each time it finds a word, a count of a word, it then increases the probability of that context being the sense that we're looking for.
Yeah. So we know whether it's a hill on the ground or whether it's somewhere where you shove your money into a
Yeah.
hole. Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to tokenize this sentence in normal way. We're going to use the word tokenize. And we're just going to pass our s variable to it. So let's just have a look at that. Remember what tokenizing does. Okay, so now we've tokenized that with a little full stop. What's it done with adjustable rate? It's kept as one word.
which
Yep,
it should do,
as
yeah.
expected. Okay. So now inside that we're going to now ask LESC to do some work. So we're going to print. So we're printing out the result of this.
We
And
could
we're
assign
gonna
that to a
ask
different
LESC.
variable
We
and print
could,
that out,
yeah.
but this is a bit quicker.
And then we're going to send our tokenized
So
string to it.
tokenized list plus our word of
We're
interest.
going to look for the word of bank. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we want it looked at as a noun.
Well, it had single quotes there, but I don't think that matters, does
It
it?
should not, doesn't it?
No.
And it want to look at it as a noun. Okay, so we have the result here is that it says that we're looking at bank around as the fifth.
Okay, so now we just want to have a look at these inset bank N05.
Yeah. So let's have a look at that. I think we've done that up here, didn't we? Bank
Yeah, we did,
into
yeah,
a
so
supply of stock held in reserve for future use, especially in emergency.
We'll do it again just to make, just to
Okay.
show
let's
what
have a
the
look
viewers.
at that.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's fully aware of the context of that sentence.
So let's do some diagnostics.
That's clever. That's really clever.
So we're going to do it. We're going to create a variable called L, and we're going to tokenize the answer. Tokenize, and the thing that we're going to tokenize is that WN Synset Bank N05, the fifth noun, and the definition of that noun.
Which is what was seen before.
Okay, and we're going to tokenize that into L. I've done something here. I spelled tokenize wrong. Okay, yes, I have. I spelled, for those fine viewers, eagle-eyed viewers, they would have spotted that. Okay, and I'm going to do the same, but this time I'm going to create a variable called M. Yes, and then I'm going to look at the second definition of the bank, like so. Exactly the same. Copied my typo down, and let's change that to E. Okay, so now I have, if we print out L, just have a look at L, this is what we have for L, and if we print M, a financial institution. So we've just tokenized those two definitions that came from the synsets.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Now we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to use the set function to do.
Remind the viewers what the set does.
Okay.
I know, but
Let's just easiest way is to show what that looks like afterwards.
so set, Mike. What does set do?
Yeah, set. Let's.
Only produces the unique occurrences
Yep,
of things.
it does. It does. Let's get it.
So if we had the word the twice, it would only
Yes, that's what
appear
it
once
does.
in the set.
An
yeah.
unordered collection of unique elements.
Unique elements,
That's
yeah.
the best way to put that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as we can see here, it's taken out any repetition from our sentence, our tokenized sentence, yeah,
Mhm.
and stored it in K.
Yep.
So now we'll do an intersection.
So this is the logical intersection between set K and L, because
yeah.
L isn't a set, is it?
Okay, and we find the in and the future there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we will do the same thing. We'll do an intersection now between K and M, and we see deposits.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
So you can see, okay, what's interesting here is L, right? L, which when we printed out here, is a supply or stock held in reserve for future use, especially in emergencies, and it's found in and future. So it's found two words
Yeah.
that appear in this version, in this definition
so
number,
the word,
number of definition.
yeah.
You know, so this is the .5 definition. It's actually intersected, matched two words.
Yeah.
But in the real definition we're looking at, financial institution,
Yeah.
it only matched one word, which was deposits,
Yeah.
as you can find here.
Yeah, which isn't particularly useful.
It's
Neither
not.
of them particularly useful actually at the moment.
It's not, but that is the reason why it chose, when we looked up here, when we've done the LESC, it chose the fifth definition
Yeah.
because of two matches as
Yeah.
opposed to one
Yeah,
match.
gotcha.
Yeah?
Gotcha.
So that is why we got the prediction. So what changes?
So it's
we can see-
LESC effectively doing that operation of the intersection. I guess
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, if we done the same thing, we'll just touch on one of these examples down here. I went to the bank to deposit some money. Okay.
Let's try that one.
So we're just going to change this a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this S up here to I went to the bank to deposit some money, yeah, and we're going to go through the same process. I went to the bank to deposit some money, yeah. So now we reassign S with that, okay, and now we tokenize it, yes. Exactly the same way, and we'll print it to make
It's
sure
very
that we
mechanical, this, isn't it? Actually,
Yeah.
on the surface of it, when you first see this code, it looks very complicated. But once you've actually got it in, because we're doing it from the command line here, of course. But if you've got it in a file, You don't need to keep redrawing this. You just
Okay, so what do we
point to different
think?
text.
Yeah, what do we think we're going to get here? Do you think it's going to do a better prediction as to the context now?
Oh, I
Now-
think it is. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. Yes, we've come up with savings bank now.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. We'll do some diagnostics of why we've come up with a savings bank. So first of all, let's look at the definition of the savings bank. Okay, and so to do that, we will change this to be, we want to see the definition of savings bank onto a container, usually with a slot in the top for keeping money at home. So that is the one that is predicted at the moment. Okay. So what we'll do now is we've
Well,
looked.
it's not quite right, but it's not a million miles away
Not
from.
right. So we're going to
what
store
we
that
want.
in L. Okay, we're going to store that in L, and we're going to change this here, this version of bank here, which it came back as savings bank. Okay, and we're going to put that in here, and we're going to store that in L, and we're going to tokenize it. No, we're not, because
You've
I've
got a typo again.
that same
You've got
typo.
tokenized it.
It loves giving me that typo, doesn't it? Okay, so let's put that. Tokenize. Okay, so we know we can print L just to make sure that we're all good. Yes. Okay, now what we're going to do, John, is we're going to do the
The definition of
the
it.
definition. We've done the definition. We've stored the definition in L,
That's
and
right.
so now what we're going to do is the intersection.
Intersection between the
But
two.
first of all, we need to create K again, and we need to create a unique set from our new sentence that we just tokenized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to do the intersection between L and find out why it chose that. Because of those two matches,
The money.
and money.
Well, okay, that's insignificant, but money is quite significant.
Yeah.
Or it is to
Yeah.
banks.
And so that's it. That's question 5. Word sense disambiguation.
Okay. We'll leave that video there, I think, just because there's quite a lot to take on board there. But that's good. That's really informative.